everyone, welcome back to Dance Geek. It's Claire, and in today's video we're going to be talking about artistry, dance artistry, and how Dance Geek, specifically how I can help you as a dancer and help you as a teacher to get better artistry. We all know a dancer is an artist and an athlete. We are the athletes of the gods. And I think everyone agrees with this, and there was a bit of debate there for a while because we've always been seen as artists and just floaty, blah, blah, blah. But as an industry, we've really tried to prove ourselves to be strong and fit and athletic. But I feel like we've had so much focus on that and so much focus on good things like incorporating gymnastics training and acrobatics training and CrossFit and all of these things that are about the body and the athleticism of dance. And I feel like the artistry is suffering because of it. And I've wanted to do something about this, especially as an adjudicator, because the artistry is really what makes someone stand out. Yes, technique is so important, but I put an Instagram post up a few weeks or months back that said, let your technique serve your artistry. So if you have great technique, that's awesome, but you've got to do something with it. You've got to communicate. You've still got to learn how to communicate that to an audience. You've still got to learn how to be an artist. And there's a key word there, is learn. I think a lot of people have always believed that this is not something you can really teach a dancer. They've just either got it or they don't. They've either got the X factor or they don't. But you can teach artistry and you can teach how to connect with an audience. Yeah, of course, it's going to be easier for that kid that can just naturally do it, in the same way that it's going to be easier for that kid that's naturally flexible. But you can still teach it. It's just not something that is a focus. If you really honestly think about your dance classes that you are teaching as a teacher, or that you take as a student, if you really focused on what percentage is artistry, it wouldn't be more than 20%. And I'm not saying it has to be more than 20%, because the technique, the physicality, the athleticism of dance is so hard. It's so hard to master and it's so hard to teach, and muscle memory takes so long to get that, yeah, we do focus on the physicality side of it. So I've come up with some really effective, not quick, but fairly easy and accessible ways to incorporate artistry into all of your dancing, all of your performances, ways that you don't need to be a trained actor, but that does come from actor training. Things that you already know as a dancer, you're just not using it correctly in your artistry. You're not harnessing that for your artistry. And there's been a big trend, there was a big trend for a while there to wear tiny little costumes and get a little bit too sexually provocative, no matter what your age was. Thankfully, that trend has kind of died off. There's been trends of all the acrobatics and tricks. That's the most recent trend. It's definitely still trending. And I don't have a massive problem with it, except that I'm not seeing any artistry backing it up. And what used to be something very impressive, so like a kick turn or, multiple pump turns, fouettes, a la seconds, whatever you want to call them, whatever you call them, they're not majorly impressive anymore because it's in every routine. So I'm just like, all right, cool. But someone who can use those tricks as more than a trick and use it to service their artistry and the whatever the direction of the choreographer was, if you can use those really technical, highly skilled tricks, if you can use them, wow. Wow. Then I went to university later in my career, and studied theatre studies, which it's not performance training, it's more performance making and analysing how a performance comes about, how theatre comes about and how it all works. And even though it wasn't about, it was all very avant-garde, or, you know, it was more fringe, alternative kind of stuff rather than, you know, we weren't even studying Shakespeare. It was all very non-mainstream. But I always had in the back of my mind, how can I apply this to dance? How can I apply this to dance? Because dance is just, it's my love. It is my soul. And I always wanted to apply these really, really complex, detailed, theatrical things. How can you apply it to dance? And it's definitely applicable, definitely. So what I'm going to be doing is offering workshops and masterclasses, not just for students, but for teachers as well, where I will give you the knowledge that's in here, give you all the stuff that I learnt in my bachelor's and honours, and in my years as a theatre director, and theatre maker and all of that. I will give you that information in a way that is applicable to dance. So the delivery of these workshops, I'm going to be doing a series of videos. Some of these videos or parts of these videos I'm going to be releasing for free on YouTube and Facebook, stuff that everyone can just do and use and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, cool, I'll do that. But the more detailed, getting into the nitty-gritty stuff, the stuff that I want you to learn and just take into any kind of performance that you do, that kind of stuff needs a bit more time. So I'm firstly going to be rolling out workshops. So I'll come to your studio and I'll work with either a group that you've got, you might have a team that you want me to work with, but I'll also work with the teachers and choreographers. I can work with all of the teachers at your school if you want, and do a teachers workshop, because we teachers are taught about technique and safety, physical safety, but we need the choreo. I had one of the best teachers, ballet teachers in the state, but I know that he always found the choreography side of things really tricky. Did I just push my... Oh, thought I just hit something on my mic. Yeah, he didn't really enjoy the choreography side of it. And as great as he was, I didn't learn a lot about artistry from him. Learn a lot about technique from him, though. I want to be able to help you to continue on the work that we start with your students. So I'll come in, I'll do a workshop with your students, and then I will do a workshop with the teachers, with you, even if it's just one teacher, one-on-one, give you some ideas on how to, we'll look at how you already teach these sorts of things, and how you teach a performance piece, and then how you can implement these teachings into it, so that you haven't, you know, spent money to get me to come to a studio, you do this workshop, everyone's like, oh yeah, that was great, and then that's it. How can you implement this into your teaching, into your style? Because we all have different ways of creating. As choreographers, as teachers, we have very different ways of creating. And I'm not going to say, okay, you need to focus on energy projection in everything, because that might not be your thing. If you're a technician, then you're going to be a technician and you're going to stay a technician. But there's a section in my workshop on harnessing technique. I'll give you a little insight into it. In the harnessing technique section, I talk about every step has a practical and an aesthetic function, and they serve each other. So as an example, things like a posé turn, where you have the fondue, down, posé, stepping up onto the posé turn. So some of you might call it a piqué turn. where you're going down and up, down and up. There's a physical need for that fondue because it propels you up onto the demi-point, but the aesthetic need for it is that it creates levels. Okay, and you get a down, up, and it's exciting to see a change in level. So we talk about how you can remain the teacher that you are, but just add these artistry tips as a way of taking yourself and your dancers to the next level. So I have core topics that are covered in every workshop. And then I have a list of other topics that you can choose from ahead of time. I'm really big on catering to what you need. Not what I think everyone. I'm not just going to come out and do a stock standard. Here we go. This is the way you do it. It's not the Claire Hayward method or the Dance Geek method. It's a whole bunch of information that we can cater to you, that I can cater to you and what you want. What are your goals with artistry? Yeah. So there's basically, you've got like electives. There's core topics and there's elective topics. So I've got my notes over here. Some of the topics covered: audience awareness, musicality, knowing your mise en scene, energy projection, facial expressions. There's another topic that I do put in every workshop, but the extent to which it goes in will be dependent on what your goals are. But we do something called emotion mapping, which is kind of fun. And you basically map where your piece is going emotionally through the whole thing. I have a clause for all of my workshops. If you are a student of a dance school, I also need the permission of that dance school. I will not I'm not starting my own school. I've done that. It was great while it was there, but it's not something I want to do again. I'm not poaching students. I'm not ever going to tell you to go to a different school unless I see something that is illegal or unsafe. I wholeheartedly respect every teacher and every studio principal, especially the studio principals. I need to know what your teacher's vision is and what your teacher is, what their intent is with your training before I can come in and help you expand on it. It's an add-on skill, an add-on coach. And you know my philosophy, you never stop learning. And I think this is an area that I have a lot to offer. I'm not going to come in and do workshops on technique and tips and tricks. Yeah, I've got a lot of tips and tricks up my sleeve of how to do pirouettes better or how to do this better or blah, blah, blah. But A, it's not what I'm passionate about. It's not my strength necessarily. And it's not what I think the industry needs, to be honest. There are a lot of really good technique and fitness coaches out there. You know, Talia Clow's doing... Talia, is your last name Clow or Clow? Message me below. But Talia's doing some amazing things with Fit for Dance. Lisa Howell is doing some amazing things with her Perfect Form Physiotherapy Clinic and her ballet blog products that she's got. Claudia Dean obviously is doing awesome things. If you need a classical coach, you go to Claudia Dean. There's quite a few. I don't know what else to call them, but tricks coaches, basically. People who are going to help you with those ridiculously intense turns, you know, like your Rebecca Davies and Krista Miller from KBM Talent in the States, Lucy Ellis, Lisa Ellis. They are different people. Don't get them confused. You know, there's lots of people out there who are doing these kinds of things. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't think I can do anything better than they can, and I'm not going to bring anything different unless I focus on artistry. And I kind of feel like that's what I always have focused on. Yeah, And I did a bit of research, and I'm not really finding that there's anybody who is doing these sorts of dance and physically, you know, get up, move dance classes, but with an absolute focus on the artistry and how to be a better performer as opposed to just a better physical athlete dancer. So let's bring the artistry back into dance. It is an art form. And whilst we are athletes as well, I do truly believe that first and foremost it is an art form, and we need to get back to that. So in this push to get back to basics of technique, we need to get back to the basics of the artistry. And that's where I want to help, because that is something that I'm really confident that I have a lot of knowledge in, and I'd love to share that with you. And like I said earlier, I will still be doing Dance Geek videos every week, and definitely sharing this sort of thing with you in more depth. Not as total depth, because basically these sorts of videos are just me sitting here talking to a camera by myself. So at quarter to 12 at night. Yes, because, you know, it's the only time my house is quiet enough for me to film. There's no parenting interruptions in this. Yay! So that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, especially if you're interested in any more of these artistry videos, because I will be doing a lot more based on this. Hit the thumbs up. It really actually does help. Really, really helps. So again, thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel. If you are wanting to book a workshop, all the information will be down in the links, and everything will be down in the description bar. Down here. Don't know what I'm doing. It's really late. I'm really tired, and I'm going to go.